All right. Michael's stamping you guys. I'm gonna take attendance while he's doing that. Is anybody? Madeline's not here.
Madeline. Who's Madeline?
Or I'm sorry. That's full power. Parker's not here.
Kayla and Ava.
Kayla's not here. No, Camden?
Nobody sits there. Camden has one.
No wonder I don't hear video games playing. What?
Did Bradley tell you to give me his attention?
Yep.
Don't listen.
No Ava still.
She's in Mexico.
It's gonna be a Mexico month.
She's in
anything?
Mexico until Sunday.
Emma's here.
Michael!
All right, close your Chromebooks, please. Close your Chromebooks.
Wrong one.
Mr. Beast.
I believe so, yeah. Really? I think it's warm in here. But this sweater is warm.
I thought you were
They're
going
winter already.
What, Mate?
I request stamping one.
You can request it, but you're gonna have to remind me tomorrow, because otherwise I'll forget it. All right. Hey, why are we not talking while I'm up here? Thank you. It's staring at the back of Mate's head. All right. As promised, we are going to learn some multiple choice test taking strategies today. Missy? All right. Now, honestly, you guys knocked the short answer assignment out of the park yesterday. I haven't put it in Power School yet, but our overall grade for this class on that assignment was a 92% as a class. So very good. Well done. However, remember, our overall class grade for the multiple choice portion was a 67. Oh, 68. Yeah. 68%. So we need a little bit of work, and that's not just you guys. You guys actually had the highest score out of my 7th grade classes for the multiple choice section. So across the board, we are going to learn about some multiple choice test taking strategies, right? These are posted in Google Classroom. You should have your Chromebook closed though, because we're going to pay attention up here. And then we're going to play a little game to try to hammer down the point of how our strategies can work, okay? First of all, and this might sound unnecessary. Some of you might say, well, I don't need to do this. Just do it anyway. Read the question more than once, okay? Read it more than once. Sometimes when we read things, we read it quickly and we misinterpret it. We read it quickly and it seems like it's asking us something, but then on a second read, we get a little more clarification. So read things more than once. All right, multiple choice questions are difficult. They try to test your knowledge, almost try to trick you in a way, okay? The questions are often worded very specifically, and you might miss things if you only read it one time. And that goes for adults too, right? When I took my teacher certification test, I had 100 multiple choice questions. It was brutal. I don't like multiple choice either, right? I'm on the same. I relate to how you guys have performed on the last 2 assignments. I would have done poorly on the multiple choice portion, and I would have done well on the short answer. So I can relate. It's only later in life that I've been able to slow down and learn how to be better at taking multiple choice type tests, okay? But they are in a way trying to trick you a little bit. They're trying to make you not only know the answer, but they want you to be able to find the answer even in a logical way, okay? So that can be difficult sometimes. Read each possible answer. That might seem self-explanatory, but I can guarantee you if you guys are honest with yourself, you guys have all done this. right? Oh, A or B look right, I'm just gonna circle it and move on, right? I know this has happened, I've done it, we've all done it. Read each possible answer, okay? Because even though A or B might seem like they're correct, there might be a better answer later on. A lot of times in multiple choice, you're gonna have 2 or 3 possible answers that are technically true, they happened in the story, okay? But there's gonna be one that's more correct. A lot of times what happens when people are making multiple choice tests, they put in 2 or 3 that technically happened, right? They're partially correct, but there's always gonna be one that's completely correct. So sometimes if you look at A, heads up, sometimes if you look at A and you are like, yep, that happened. I don't even need to read the rest of them. I know that this happened in the story, I remember it. But is it the best answer for that question? That's what you guys need to start taking time to decipher, right? 3, everybody should be doing this. We're gonna start when we have our assignments, our curriculum assignments that are multiple choice. I'm gonna start handing out a sheet of paper and you guys are gonna handwrite the question as you're doing it online as well. A, to slow you down. B, so you have 2 different forms of reading that question. And C, so that you can actually go through and cross some of them out. Alright? Now, this is an old thing. This is not a new technique here. Crossing out the most obviously wrong answer. Can anybody tell me why I would do that? Why somebody would do that to better their chances of answering it correctly? Betty?
So then you can there's less of a chance of you getting it wrong.
Yeah, you have less options, right? If you have 4 options, that can seem a little overwhelming, but if you know for sure that is definitely not correct, cross it out. Now you only have 3 options. It's less daunting, right? So, pick one. Should be easy to spot because there's almost always one that's just obviously wrong. Like it might not even have happened in the story. So, cross it out. Now your brain is looking at it and you have a 1 in 3 chance. It just makes it that much easier to potentially get the right answer. Alright, let's look at our last 2 steps here. Narrow your selections down to 2. Alright, you've gotten the obvious one out of the way. That's wrong. We can get that one out. Now we need to give ourselves a 50-50 chance at the very least. Okay? Most of the time, if you don't quite know it, you're gonna be able to still get it down to 2, right? And once you're at a 1 or a 50-50 chance of getting it right, there are a couple different ways that you can potentially spot a right answer, and we'll go through that with our examples. But do your best to try to get that down to 2 possible answers, okay? Because then, even if you don't quite know it, you're not totally understanding what the question's asking, you've done all these other steps, right? At least you have a 50-50 chance. And that is better than giving yourself a well thought out 50-50 chance is better than just picking A or B because you think it's right and then not reading the rest of the questions, okay? I would feel better if you got it wrong, if you showed me that you got it down to a 50-50 and you just didn't quite get the right answer, all right? But if our class grade average is 68%, 45%, whatever it is, and we're done in 2 or 3 minutes, I know we're just rushing through it, okay? So a lot of these steps, what it boils down to is taking more time, right? Being patient, making sure you understand exactly what that question is trying to ask you, and making sure that you understand each of the possible answers. Now, number 5, sometimes you're not gonna have to get to this step. This is for ones that you're unsure about or ones that you're trying to make an educated guess about. All right, read closely and try to find the most correct answer. Read closely, right? A lot of times with multiple choice questions, they're trying to get you to use a little bit of logic, all right? Logic is sometimes a scary thing because you have to analyze, right? You have to analyze the possible answer, analyze the question. You can't just rush through it. So when you're analyzing a multiple choice question, what that looks like is, what are the words, how are they being used, right? Is this a past tense answer, but it requires a present tense? The question is asking for a present tense answer, right? Little things like that. Analyze those, try to find and read closely to make sure that your answer matches up with what the question is requiring. Now, it's not always gonna work that way, right? Sometimes we have questions like, what is the theme of the story? And if you can't remember what theme means, that's gonna be a really hard question for you, right? But at the very least, try to get to number 4, okay? At the very least, if you have no idea, like you just can't remember what the term is and you are overwhelmed by the options, at the very least, stop, take some time, read closely, right? When we're talking about Alice in Wonderland, we're not gonna have a theme of something like protect your neighbors, right? That would have nothing to do with our story at all. So that would still be one that you could easily eliminate, because there's no talk of neighbors at all in Alice in Wonderland in the chapter that we read. So even if you're unsure what the terminology is for theme, you still should be able to think logically and eliminate some obviously wrong answers and hopefully get it down to 2 where you have a 50% chance of getting that question right, okay? So even if you have no idea, which we're gonna practice a question here where you're probably gonna have no idea, we'll see if we can work out a way to at least get it 50-50. All right, so I'm gonna need a volunteer here in a minute, because we are gonna practice answering first a question that I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna have no idea what the correct answer is, and we're gonna see if we can try to at least get this down to a 50-50. So, pretty sure many of you aren't gonna know the terminology in this question, which is totally fine. And maybe none of you have even heard of the 3 options. Some of you, I would say the first one, probably most of you have, but don't think any of you guys are familiar with Leave It to Beaver, seeing that came out in the 1950s, and I don't think any of you guys were alive back then. Angela, you were alive back then?
Well, one time I went to River Ridge and they were watching that.
Oh, were they?
It was very interesting.
Oh, cool. So you have some experience with the Beav, as he was called in the show. All right, anybody want to come up here and try to answer this question that I definitely don't expect you to know the answer to? Mate, come on up. So what's our first step?
And narrow it down.
Nope, our first step is to read the entire question twice.
Which of the following is an example of a dystopian society?
All right, now let's read our possible answers.
A. Panem and the Hunger Games.
Okay.
B. The Shire and the Lord of the Rings. C. 1950s Suburbia.
Yep, that's right.
And Leave It to the Beaver.
All right, and one more time, what's our question?
Which of the following is an example of a dystopian society?
All right, do you have any idea what dystopian means?
Fight to the death, never surpass, kind of like women's order.
That would, dystopian would be the after effects of that. So you're trying to find a society that lives in a very unpleasant type of way. All right, but if you think that's the right answer, go ahead and erase that for me just real quick, because I want us to go through the steps even if you, so let's erase the one that you think is definitely gonna be incorrect, or just put a line through it, okay? Now we have a 50-50 chance. So we have the Shire and the Lord of the Rings, which many of you might not know what that is. And we have Panem in the Hunger Games, which we know is pretty brutal, right? So go ahead and make your selection. Which one do you think is correct? Yeah. All right, perfect. I'll take your marker. Good job, Mate. Thanks for volunteering for that. Mate is correct. An example of a dystopian society is Panem in the Hunger Games. Suburbia I mean, this isn't a technical definition, but that is way too boring to be dystopian. The Shire is actually a very happy, wonderful place. They're under threat to have it not be a very happy, wonderful place by the One Ring being returned to Sauron and Mordor. But when we learn about the Shire, it's very happy. The little hobbits are all really happy and with their hairy feet and eating roasted mutton. So the Shire would have been the worst answer there probably, just because it's super happy. But either way, good job there, Mate. All right, let's look at the second one. This one's about verb placement. This one we should have a little bit better idea, and there's 4 of them, so we can do all of our steps for this one. Aubrey, why don't you come up and show us your skills? All right, start off with our first step, which is reading the question completely.
My mother blanked the carpet when I got home yesterday afternoon.
All right, and what are our possible answers?
A is
Hoovering.
hoovering, B was hoovering, C were hoovering, D has been hoovering.
All right, perfect. And one more time, what's the question asking?
My mother blanked the carpet when I got home yesterday afternoon.
All right, which one do you think is very obviously incorrect? We're looking for which verb is going to be used. Yeah, good job. All right, let's eliminate one more that we think is probably not correct. Nice. All right, so we have either B or D. Out of those 2 options, let's put them both in place. So read the question with B in there.
My mother was hoovering the carpet when I got home yesterday afternoon.
Okay, and now read it with D in the.
My mother has been hoovering the carpet when I got home yesterday afternoon.
All right, which one of those verb placements do you think is correct there? Which one sounded most correct to you?
B.
Yep, go ahead and circle it. All right, thank you, Aubrey. Great job. All right, perfect. This is correct again. Was, right? We are in the past tense, so was hoovering. Now, this is my point about looking at A and then just circling it, because it could be right. You could have, my mother is hoovering, right? That could be a sentence that you had, right? My mother is hoovering the carpet. So you could read A and be like, oh, that makes sense. My mother is hoovering the carpet. But it's very wrong, right? Because if you read the rest of this, and if you read the other possible answers, is the completely opposite verb tense that you need. All right, so that's how rushing can sometimes lead us down, so to speak, pun, down the wrong rabbit hole, right? Alice fell down the wrong rabbit hole, ended up in Wonderland where she had to eat magical cake. We don't want to have to eat magical cake when we're answering a multiple choice question, right? It's not good.
I like magical cake though.
But what if it makes you like 400 feet tall?
I don't care.
Go to basketball?
Ladies and dudes. Why is there a whole
We'll get to that in a minute. That's part of our game we're gonna play. All right. One more volunteer here. Michael, I saw your hand first. Yeah, that's our last question. Is our picture, because sometimes we have a picture for our question.
It looks like you.
Oh, he's so
She
funny.
gave her detention for that.
I'm gonna make her run laps, I think.
Whoa.
Outside.
Can we?
Huh?
Can we?
Not right now.
What?
All right, what's our first step there, Michael?
Read the question.
All right, let's read the question. Pay attention, everyone.
The hurricane caused blank damage to the city.
All right, what are our possible answers then?
A, extend, B, extended, C, extensive, D, extension.
Okay, what's our question one more time?
The hurricane caused blank damage to the city.
Right. So here's your guys' favorite thing. You're gonna need to find out which part of speech the word in the blank needs to be. And I know that's all of your guys' favorite, because you guys just love nouns, adjectives, and verbs and all that. I know you guys love it.
I don't even know the difference between.
Well,
no.
I wouldn't,
Why did you say that in
I don't know if those are things you keep internal, Silas. Because then we can't judge you for them. Yeah.
I looked at the picture.
Alright, Michael, take out the one that you think is the most likely to be incorrect. Yes, the hurricane caused extend damage to the city. Does not make sense, right? Wrong verb type and not the part of speech that we need. How about, one more that we think is probably definitely not correct? Yes, the hurricane caused extension damage to the city. We don't need a noun in that spot. Alright. The hurricane caused extended damage to the city, or the hurricane caused extensive. Now, you've gotten it to the two that I thought you guys would have it for this one. Do we need a verb, or do we need an adjective here? So, Michael, go ahead and make your test. Perfect. Great job. Good job, Michael. Thanks for volunteering. We needed an adjective here to tell which type of damage, right? And it was extensive damage. You don't have extended damage. I mean, I guess you could, but that's not usually how damage is measured.
What's the final question?
Extensive.
It's a rock.
Extensive damage means that there was a lot of damage, right? It covered most of the area. All right, let's look at our last question, because sometimes, not often, but sometimes you will have a question like this, where you don't have words necessarily for your answer, but you do have a picture, right? Maybe sometimes you're gonna have a scene from a book or a picture. Put your hands down. I know you guys know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Just listen, just listen. Sometimes you'll have a picture, right? And you're gonna have to try to use descriptions of that person to tell which character that is, right? I think all of us.
I know the answer. It's Electabuzz.
Hey, shh, guys, I'll call on you. How many people have read Harry Potter? If I was to put a picture of a red-haired person with a wand and some pimples and kind of short, who would you maybe think it is? Would that be Harry Potter? Who would that be? Ronald Weasley, right? So sometimes you are gonna have a picture and you are gonna have to try to name that character based off of the descriptions that we've had in our story. Alright, so let's look at this real quick. Now I know most of you know the answer, just put your hands on it. That's not the point of this. The point is, some of you are going to not know this, right? Some of you are gonna have no idea what the picture is that you're gonna be answering. You've never heard of it before, right? So let's say you had no idea what this beast actually was. Alright? What's that thing made out of, do you think?
Hard skulls, or like hard, like bones.
Like bones, scales, rocks, something like that, right? Is it a bat?
No.
No, so we can get Zubat out of there, right? I'm pretty sure that's not a bat.
It's Pikachu. It is not. It is not Pikachu. It's Pikachu, guys.
Hey guys, let me go through this. So, which Pokemon is this? Is it Pikachu, Electabuzz, or Rhyhorn? There's one more we can probably easily get rid of here. Is a big stone or bone thing gonna be a big conductor of electricity?
No. Yep.
So based off of our answers, we can get rid of Electabuzz, because I'm pretty sure that thing's not producing electricity. Now, I have no idea what this thing is, right? That's what we're pretending right now.
Okay.
So we don't know what Rhyhorn and Pikachu are. We have no idea. Based off of this picture, and based off of our two names, what's a logical jump we could make as to which one's correct? Trevin?
Rhyhorn.
And why is that?
Because Pikachu, like the name sounds small. And also.
What about our photo that
It
could
looks
point?
like it has a horn.
It has a horn, right?
Pikachu.
We have a horn on the animal, beast, monster, whatever. So, if we had no idea what this dude was, we could at the very least eliminate Zubat and Electabuzz, because those two are just not right. We could definitely see the horn, right, and know that that's probably a connection. Now, there's no other answer here that has a horn in it, so I would say we have a pretty good chance that that one's gonna be right. All right, we are going to play a little multiple choice game here.
Oh, no.
Static ones?
We don't have a lot of it.
We have 9 girls and 6 boys.
I guess that'll work. Dudes, this side of the room.
Yeah, got it.
Ladies, this side of the room.
My dad's birthday is on Monday.
Guess what?
Let's